Today, we are reviewing a service offer from Outbound View, and I am here with Jeff, Director of Sales from Outbound View. Jeff, how you doing today?
Great, Eddie. How you doing, man?
Doing great. It's great to have you on the show, specifically because Outbound View is an agency that we've been getting a lot of questions about. Customers and general users of the CloudSales Marketplace are really interested in learning more about Outbound View because you guys specialize in reaching out to HR personas. Tell us a little bit more, just high level, what is the service that Outbound View offers?
Sure. Eddie, we are operating as an extension of a sales team for our clients. So mainly we are prospecting into HR leaders, learning and development leaders within corporate America. So that can be any sized organizations that from small businesses up to enterprise level. But we're on the front lines where we are doing the list building, we're identifying the right contacts, and then setting appointments with that ICP for clients. So any client that is typically selling a HR solution from a SaaS product to soft skills, those are the types of clients that we're partnering with.
Perfect. Now, I was just about to ask you, who are your best customers? Who is this best for? So aside from targeting HR leaders, you mentioned different sizes from enterprise to SMBs. Why don't you help us unpack a little bit more of that? Who are your
Sure.
ideal customers? What type of ACV products? You did mention some HR products. Just help us unpack a little bit more of that.
Yeah. We work with large name brand organizations, your GP Strategies, Ken Blanchards of, large in that learning and training space that are selling into larger organizations. We also work with 10-person, 5-person shops that have a specific emerging product or a learning software that they want to put into practice out there. Really, for us, it is if it's a solution that is on the SaaS side or on the learning side that the end user or the person that really is the driver of the conversation internally is an HR or L&D leader, that's a good fit for us. Typically, most clients of ours are calling into anywhere from 100 to 10,000 employees, and everywhere in between is a good fit. And, one of the main things that is a good fit for us with clients is anybody who's really struggling with getting the right types of meetings, identifying the right types of contacts, and really understanding what is their total addressable market. Us being able to identify that is a big part of working with clients and why we can go from small organizations up to enterprise organizations.
Excellent. And when it comes to these clients of Outbound View, do they typically have a team already set up? Are most of your clients setting up with you guys their first outbound motion? Or is it a combination of, and sometimes they have some, let's say, campaigns being executed internally, but they're also tapping into you guys for the expertise? What is commonly the case?
Yeah, that's a great question, Eddie. It's a combination of them. There are clients where we are the full extension of their sales team. They do not have any internal AEs or BDRs that are doing any prospecting, and they need us to be that full function for them, where we're the only ones doing outbound effort for them. Number of our clients work where we're really complementing what they're doing, where they may have more of an account-based approach, strategic accounts, and they want us to go after a larger market to try to identify new opportunities for them, or they're providing us with lists that maybe they just haven't been able to penetrate before, and we're focusing in one area while their internal team focuses in another area, and we make sure there's no crossover there. So it really depends on the company's needs. If they're really looking to grow a large and scale where they need another 20, 30 qualified appointments per month in a specific channel, or they're just looking to get that engine going and they have no internal sales team, we can play both parts with clients.
Incredible. So whether they're starting from scratch or trying to tap into your expertise or your team and truly get really qualified appointments and stop wasting time with not being able to speak with HR decision makers if they are the decision makers for your product or solution, definitely go ahead and check Outbound View. Why don't we unpack a little bit of the components of your offer? You mentioned that the outcome is primarily qualified appointments, but let's revert a little bit back. What are the different elements, channels that you use? What makes you guys special And what is the secret sauce that helps you reach HR leaders the way no other agency does?
Yeah. The biggest metric that all outbound agencies are typically judged by is how many qualified meetings they are setting. And that certainly is a big portion of that. We're the only agency that is exclusively focused on this space. So that's a big part of, not that other companies don't sell into here, but we don't work outside of HR and L&D so that we get a really good understanding of how important the messaging, the offers, the HR maturity is to prospecting. So we really can segment and message in a strategic way. But while setting 10 to 12 qualified appointments per month is a big output, what we do for clients is a little bit more robust than that. We have a database of about 700,000 to date HR L&D leaders within North America that our clients get access to, that we can identify their total addressable market for and provide some consulting on the right types of companies they can reach out to. We're also providing them with a playbook on how to segment, the right ways to reach specific roles and offers within HR, and mainly how to differentiate themselves from what can be a really cluttered space of messaging, especially into HR leaders. So all of those things are things we're providing back. It's not just the meetings. We essentially want to give them a playbook and understanding of, from list building to building out this email engine that we do, reaching out to 3,000 contacts per month, whatever it may be. Here's all the steps for effective outreach. But on our end, we primarily focus on email and phone work for our two channels. And the biggest differentiator is just the quality of our SDRs and our team. They're all full-time employees with us, and we're probably setting 70, 80% of our meetings over the phone because of their understanding of the space and phone work. So all of that components, a lot of that can end up being 2 to 3 qualified meetings per week, but there's a lot more that helps a company learn how to do effective outreach as well.
It seems like the common theme that I'm hearing, Jeff, is that if their target is HR, that's what you guys do for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So you have the depth with the persona, basically, as you said it. Hey, there probably are other agencies that sell to HR, and they sell to sales leaders, and they sell to company owners, financial leaders, and a little bit of everything. So they may have some good techniques to try to knock on the doors, but we know how to sit in front of HR leaders. We know their pain points. We know what pushes them, what motivates them, what keeps them up at night.
Yep.
So it seems like rather than just an agency that's going to help me execute an outbound motion and has some experience on how to build sequences, messaging, try to spike some interest and just get some appointments, I'm really getting also consultants that will help me validate my product, the usage, the value props, and the messaging sequence and strategy, therefore, that I should be either executing through you guys or by myself. But it's like not only outsourcing the appointment setting, but also having some sort of consultation in between to validate that everything is really going to resonate and yield some results, even based on previous results, I'm imagining.
Yeah, I mean, really well said, Eddie. It is something that our intention is to work with clients for a long period of time and continue to be their partners, because we learn while they learn in this space, and we can pull from our years and years of experience only being in HR, but it's also to educate them on what we know to be true from doing tens of thousands of outreach and booking 500 plus meetings per week. There's so many learnings from there that we can share with our clients that just bolsters their own team. And it's really that part of, we can be more consultative, because it's not just about finding the right sequence or campaign or whatever it is. There's a lot of different ways you can test, but it really gets at the heart of what is going to make an HR leader, a learning leader, say that's worth exchanging 30 minutes of my time to meet with this company. And that's what we help clients with. So the goal is, of course, to work together for a long time, but not just to say we go in our black box and we kick out meetings over here. It's let us train you up and educate you on what works for us that can work for them as well.
Awesome. I also sense a little bit of flexibility in the service in terms of from SMBs to enterprise, there is a lot of variety, but you just mentioned also, hey, we craft this for you. We craft the sequence, the campaign, we show it to you. There's like, as you said it, we don't just go on a little hot create everything, and then magically meetings will appear. No,
Yeah.
the client are involved in the process, throughout the process. They get to learn about your process, or they get to have a voice in tailoring, tweaking based on their style, communication preferences, brand, whatnot,
Yeah.
and helping craft together that campaign. So it really feels like it's not just an outsourced team doing everything for me. They're the experts, but I don't know what they're doing, but more like having the experts a little bit in-house, or you just may not be in the Christmas party, but you're going to be there assisting throughout the sessions and working as an extension of the team. So why don't we talk a little bit about, because I also know that with that flexibility, there may be a minimum starting point, like starting with one rep or one FTE, and there is a flexibility of growing for these SMBs that, hey, what's my minimum package or let's say option to try Outbound View? Why don't we break it down in the sense of how does the onboarding look like? What is the minimum number? How does the onboarding look like? What would a company have to go through to get started with you guys?
Yeah. So I would even take a quick step back from the onboarding part, because we look at, a first conversation with a client is important for establishing if we're a good fit with them. We then do a whiteboard session where we're really crafting out and doing a collective brainstorm around what specific campaigns and segmentation and messaging, what do we want to put together that gives them a good sense for what would our strategy and go-to-market strategy be working with them. So we do that before moving forward with a client. But once that's established, there's flexibility in the number of resources. We think about a resource in terms of one dedicated BDR, SDR on their team. On top of that, you get your support team that's going to be doing reporting. But we have clients that you can start with just email only to kind of ramp up if you're a smaller operation just looking to start and get that engine going. Scale up to one resource. Every month you can scale up to multiple SDRs or scale down. So I mentioned that after we go through our first 3 months, you've got a lot of flexibility based on the time of year. But back to your initial question, Eddie, it's once we do a kickoff call with clients, there certainly is a ramp period, but one of the biggest advantages we have in only focusing in the HR space is we have a good understanding of effective messaging and effective list building and offer writing that allows us to be impactful right off the bat. So typical initial 3-month contract leading up to that point, we'll do about a 2-3 week implementation where we're writing all the messaging, we're meeting with our clients to get approvals on the lists we're building, the messaging, essentially the infrastructure we're crafting. At that time, we're purchasing domains, we're warming emails, we're writing scripts, we're doing role plays with our SDRs to get them ready so that when we do launch, we're not starting from scratch there. There's always a bit of a learning curve in that first few weeks, month to 2 months, but we do expect our meeting results right off the bat with clients. So we think about it in terms of a 3-month contract, and then you can go month to month from there. But in the first 120 days, we expect email to ramp up more gradually so that we can keep everything within all of the regulations. But phone work, we expect those meetings to start hitting the first couple of weeks right off the bat. And as we get into the 90, 120 day mark, that's where we start to look at, do we want to shift around some of the ICP or the market? Do you have a conference coming up that you want us to try to maximize? And we can start to make some pivots from there once we really start to learn what message is resonating. So kind of that 90-day mark is a good time for us to pick our heads up a little bit, so to speak, and say, where do we want to go from here?
Incredible. There's 2 things I want to highlight, Jeff. First one, the vetting process at the beginning, where other agencies may say, yes, come one, come all, any types of targets. We're here. We're going to run it, crush your campaign. You guys actually take a more careful approach and validate first if they do have the right solution. And that solution is for the target audience that you guys are known to crush it for. So that vetting process should give people in the audience a little bit of peace of mind that, hey, if I don't get approved, it's actually better. It's better that I don't waste time with the wrong provider. And if I do get approved, the likelihood that these guys are going to work for me, then it starts going up. Then we think in terms of, as you said, 3 months. The other thing that I liked there was a little bit of that, again, extension feel of your in-house team.
Yeah.
Because we said it's not just, hey, we set up a campaign, it's done in a week, and we just continue battle that thing for 3 months and see what happens. But more of a, we start ramping up, we craft the campaign, we start deploying it. There's a, because of your experience, a calculated approach and maybe timeline of, hey, we can kick off emails first. We're going to kick off phones later so that we can warm up some people and have a reason to call them. But also the flexibility of, we act as an extension of your team. So if you're going to be on site doing an event, you have some webinars, you have XYZ launches, let's incorporate that. Is that something that you want us to push? Perfect. Let's incorporate it. Is that related to the offer? Oh, no, there's a new offer that you want us to reprioritize. Now, I'm imagining there's also a degree of, let's say, trying to maintain or reduce scope creep from switching too many gears and towards support, right? Not allowing, because it really doesn't sound like a process where you just activate the service and meetings are going to magically appear again.
That's right.
More of a calculated approach to build an engine that over time will warm up and continue to drip the meetings consistently. But while we get there, there's a ramp-up period. There's flexibility, but things have to stay on a lane, and that's where you help manage and keep things consistently, right?
Yep. Yeah, well said. It is certainly something that the more consistent you are with your outreach, while being willing to say, this just isn't working, we're going to turn off that faucet and focus on this different persona or these different types of companies or different messaging. You have to be willing to be flexible, but too often companies will just do more of a spray and pray approach and say, this didn't work, let's try something else. So we always like to have some components of what our outreach is doing kind of towards the sweet spot of what are the ideal customers for clients, while knowing their needs are going to change, their priorities are going to change. But the longer we work with clients and get a sense for every March, every April, they've got important events or conferences they're hosting, we can start to pivot and get that messaging ready and the outreach ready in January, February, while keeping our eye on the ball for their target market. So that's where the way we think about it, it's less of a quick hit, let's get 10 new meetings next month and see if that helps, and rather, if we were your internal employees and team, but you also have the support of an executive team and company with decades of experience selling into the space, where would you point them? How would you want to leverage them? That's really how we want our clients to think about us, more than just an SDR making calls on their behalf.
Incredible, Jeff. Well, that's been a very thorough review, or interesting review, rather, of the appointment setting service that you guys are offering. Any recommendations, any, let's say, parting messages or advice that you can give the audience that may be listening in, would love to have a meeting with you, in terms of recommendations for them to, once they meet with you, if they decide to hire you, how can they get set up faster? What should they prepare in advance? Things like having a playbook, a persona, an objection handling repository, anything that you can recommend for someone in the audience curious about hiring you guys?
Yeah, it's a good question. I would say that it is less important for clients to have this robust library of all this collateral or marketing materials or employee, or rather client testimonials that they can pull from and what can we leverage. It's more important for them to understand who really is that target ICP that they want to be in touch with. We can segment so much further down the line than just a company size and employee size or revenue roles, titles, things like that. So clients really understanding, who do you really want to be in touch with? And then on top of that, just having an understanding of what have they done before, what hasn't worked, what has worked, and anything from a data and understanding side is helpful for us to learn that. But a lot of times we start with clients where we're blank slate, starting from scratch. Where do we want to go from here? So it's more so coming to the table and we can pull those things out and ask some questions. But ultimately, the best way I can say, are we a good fit or not, is them having a good understanding of who do you really want to be in touch with? And if that's outside of our scope of expertise, we'll be the first ones to say so. But if it's within there, then we can really dive in and tell them, okay, here's some strategies we can go and execute. So that's what I'd say for before first convo or coming into that first convo.
Excellent. Sounds like they should really align us to who are the people that are really acquainted with the buyer personas that they work with,
Yep.
their conversions, almost like they're 80-20. Where's most of their revenue coming? What are those 20% of personas that may be yielding the best income? And then bring those people to the first, let's say, session with you and your team to really assess, evaluate if there's a good fit to grow together.
Yep. Nailed it on the head. That's great.
Awesome. Well, Jeff, this has been a very interesting session. If you in the audience are considering to have a session with Outbound View, head over to the Cautos Marketplace. You'll be able to find their listing, and we will be more than happy to facilitate an interview. Jeff, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show, and I hope to have more opportunities like this to learn more about Outbound View.
Thanks for the time, Eddie. Appreciate it.
Excellent. Bye-bye.